Okay, here's the thing. I want to talk about this because I think this is some important information that everyone should really know about with regards to the future of furry conventions, or at least what's going to happen this year and how some might actually cease to exist. Oh man, it's weird to think about that. Like, it's been a year since I've been to a furry convention. I hate to like do this thing of like, but me. But seriously, it's been actually a year since TFF 2020 happened. That was the last convention I went to, and I think the one after that, which was like a week later, was Vancouver. But I think the first one that was legitimately canceled was Fernal Equinox last year, and it's being canceled this year again because you can't have it. But I think something we need to keep in mind, at least with things starting to slowly open back up again with the vaccines coming out and a lot of other things happening, and even just, you know, entire governments being stupid. I don't mean like our government, I mean like separate state governments. I don't know how government works, I'm trying, okay? But let's talk about it, because I've been kind of curious to learn about why some furry conventions might actually cease to be. Because I saw that going around Twitter the other day of like, people are like, oh, you know, this is the point where this summer, because things might not open back up fully and we might not be able to have conventions, that some might actually cease to exist because it's been 1 to roughly 2 years, or 2 years since they've been able to operate. And of course, when they're under contract and there's like a hotel involved, then that's when it gets, okay, they want some money. And furry conventions don't really have that money because they're charity events. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about it because I've seen it all over Twitter. Texas saying no mask needed. Look, we're going over that, okay? We're going over that. Also, I guess this is technically a follow-up to the future of furry conventions video that I did of like when the next furry convention will be, because I was like, oh, you know, maybe optimistically it'll happen this summer or like this winter if things are better. But even then, like, just wanted to give an optimistic look at where things were at the moment. And this was early this year, almost like December last year, 2020. So like, now we're looking at it. We got some things to add about it. Let's just jump right into it, okay? All right. So here's a little thread that I think we should like read up on. This is very important from at least what I skimmed through very briefly. So I'm just going to read through this word for word because I think it's important that we all learn. It's learning with beta again. All right. So I don't know who this guy is, but he tweeted something very informative about the future of furry conventions. And this was all inspired because I saw Gail tweet about it and she was upset. I'm like, I got to trust mom. You know, Gail, she's the con mom. She knows what's going on, like what's going to happen with this. So, oh, he used to staff at AC. Okay. So for reference, I guess from chat, can't confirm it or not, but the guy who wrote this thread originally staffed at Anthrocon. So he knows a good amount of why things work the way they do. All right, I've seen a couple of people start to get it. COVID is going to kill a bunch of furry cons, and not for why you think. And it's pissing me off. I don't know why, but this sentence right here, it reminds me of some of those, like, you know, articles that use the titles of, like, here are some tips on how to remain healthy. Doctors hate this. You know, I don't know why I'm reading it that way, but, like, either way, this is more informative than I think. Trust me. Okay, so the first thing, most cons do not have a lot of money. Even if they could make money at it, by and large, they are not profit entities. Non-profits have a maximal amount they can carry from year to year before the taxes get complicated. Cons put everything they have into the event. Okay, so we know that. Most, if not all, furry conventions, or at least the ones we love and care about, are all non-profit. They're charity-based. They make a certain amount of income, and that goes straight back into paying for the event itself and for other things for setting up the con. Okay, makes sense. So think about it this way. I'm just predicting this. When you're on a contract and you're supposed to perform year to year with an event, that's when things get fucky. Even if COVID is involved and you can't fully like perform or have the event, hotels still want money. Like, here's the bottom line that I think you guys should remember. These hotels that furry conventions, you know, sign a contract with to have these events. Hotels aren't in it for like, oh, you know, we're a family owned, we support events, we want to support the community. No. They want your fucking money. They don't care about these conventions. They just want the money. So let's clarify that before we go further. Anyways, let's go further. This is what is making VR events difficult for small cons. Example, First Squared put on an excellent VR con. They did by lever gauging the heck out of personal accounts, temporary services, and donated services. Remember that a virtual con might only cost $1,000 in services. Cons don't have $1,000 to burn. Cons don't have money. The event drives the money and the money is used. Yeah, so attendees make the money for the con to happen. That's just how most of it works. I'm sure there are other things that go into it, like personal donations or personal funds from staff members or whatever happens, but at least from my understanding, the attendees are what funds the con. So when you don't have attendees, you can't fund the con. That's why in this circumstance with virtual conventions, when it was all free for entry and there wasn't really any sort of payment to attend, they had to pay $1,000 out of pocket to run the event, or the VR online furry convention. So this is why it's important that attendees attend for at least conventions. This is a general sort of idea. Okay, so people have read threads of Boozy Badger, we're going to read over that later, and such, and might know that contracts are a thing, and that breaking the contract is an expensive and likely con-ending event. Con cancels, big bill. If the health department says no, contract is void, no bills. Okay, so there's some legal stuff with it with breaking a contract. It's not just, oh, you know, you pay out money or you go to another hotel or whatever. When you're on contract, you're on contract. Especially with hotels. Hotels aren't that nice. I'm going to be honest. Hotels aren't that nice. They're not really the family mom and pop sort of thing. Like I said, they want to make money regardless of what happens. So the subtext here is the penalty for canceling a con here will severely diminish, if not outright kill, a convention. So cons like Anthrocon and Megaplex right now are going to happen because the alternative is financial ruin. So think of it this way. If they don't happen because things are opening back up right now, they will be breaking the contract, or they'll have to pay money for the event that they don't have. So in this situation, Anthrocon and Megaplex, because they're big conventions, they're on a contract with a big hotel, and they're kind of being forced to open back up. So yeah, in this situation that a lot of these big conventions like Megaplex and Anthrocon and even other conventions this summer have, it's one of two things. There are two options, and more than likely, these cons might die out if things don't work the way they're hoping they will. So here's the first option. They don't have the convention, they don't hold the con. The convention dies because they can't hold the contract and because they cannot pay the funds to run the event. So the con itself ceases to exist. Or they hold the convention in a situation where COVID is still spreading, not everyone is vaccinated, and some people, or most people, won't go to the convention because they don't feel safe, or they don't want to spread or receive COVID. Because you guys know, we've already talked about this before, you know how con crud spreads, right? You know how bad that gets. So think about it this way. If con crud spreads that bad, can you imagine how bad COVID would be at a convention, even this summer? And even, here's the thing, I'm not saying we can't have an optimistic look at it of like, oh, you know, like maybe things will be good, you know, maybe people will be vaccinated. But think about it this way. The first furry convention to happen, everyone's going to want to go. Everyone's going to want to go. I want to go to the next furry convention. If I'm vaccinated, I'll go to it. But at the same time, might not be a wise decision to go. So that's why I'd be on the fence about it. That's how I was with like Fernal Equinox. I'm like, oh, you know, COVID's spreading. This is bad. I probably shouldn't go, you know, over the border to Canada. So we have this situation. Or there's another situation, which I don't know if they'll be able to pull off because the other two situations result in the cons ending, you know, there's that. But the other idea, which I don't know if they'll be able to do or pull off, or if they can even do to begin with, is limit the amount of people that attend the convention. I don't know if it's a thing that the convention itself can do, especially now with how much furries want to get out and have conventions. I'm not sure if they can do that. Can a convention, or can an event such as a furry convention, limit the amount of attendees? But even then, that's too many people. Exactly. That's the issue, and that's why people more than likely won't go to a con even if it is open. And even then, there will be people that show up from there. So really, with how government mandated things are now and how everyone wants to open up things again, it's the issue that like we're not ready to have big scale events like these yet, even during the summer, even if things go down drastically. I'm just saying, there's a way to remain optimistic with this whole thing, but you got to remain realistic, like I said before. Anyways, going on with this. Now, the hotel doesn't want to kill their cons. The hotel has insurance in case of natural disasters, like COVID. They want to be able to make a financial loss claim against their insurance and see their con next year. Really? But wouldn't this be fine then if that was set into play? I don't know. One good thing is con security can revoke con badges from people not wearing masks. mean, that too. So everyone here is waiting for the local or state health board to issue its proclamation of no super spreader events, you dumb shits. I mean, I hope so. But so far it hasn't happened. And then everyone walks away without problems, and the con can happen next year. That's what should happen. That's the same thing that would happen in a society that, I don't know, listen to scientists and doctors about pandemics. But let's look at Texas and Florida. Oh yeah, Megaplex takes place in Florida. Oh boy, that's a con that I really want to go to, but it's also in Florida, so I really don't want to go to. Oh boy. To avoid this discussion, I will use a random word to represent this. Money. So, because money, states are passing all kinds of laws about reopening and allowing events. This puts an event like Furry Fiesta or Megaplex Con in a heck of a bind. Ethically, do you hold a super spreader event and kill your con goers? Do you believe that money is a good justification? Or do you cancel the con you've built up for years and watch it burn? Oof! Oh, this is pretty bad. But it gets worse. It gets shitbag worse. This guy's writing. He should write a book, honestly. I'd read it. I don't like reading books, but I'd read Benny's book. his grammar, his vocabulary, his phrasing here, I love it. It gets shitbag worse. I love it. I love this guy. Who is he? I want to give him a hug one day. Anyways, but it gets worse. It gets shitbag worse. If, because your state loses money, you hold your event to try and survive, and you do your best to social distance and mask everything, and you fill the hotel pool with Purell. So this is the situation that I said. You know, the con limits the amount of attendees to make it happen so the con can actually survive, you know? And that's what he's going on to here. I actually predicted, like, this could be an option here. How many people will go? In fantasy con history, it's commonly estimated that just moving a con venue usually results in a 20% loss of attendance the following year. What would a fucking ongoing pandemic do to your attendance? 50% down? More? Probably. The event is paid by the attendance. Even if you believe that money is a good reason that you hold the event, you are fucked if no one shows up. The con dies. Exactly this. Exactly this. No one shows up, the con dies. This is a situation that can happen if they open the conventions too early, or if conventions even happen this year, especially with COVID still existing. So in summary, because money and the fact we're making a political football game of COVID, okay, I like that. I hate that that's true. Cons are going to have to choose. 1, don't kill attendees, break your contract, cease to be a con. Or 2, hold your event, no one shows up, cease to be a con. COVID is going to kill some cons. There's no happy ending to this thread if you run a con. I sure as heck hope you're looking at your contract and have a plan to rebuild it if you go under. Other folks, go yell at your politicians. I doubt they'll listen much. They're not billionaires, but at least we tried. We're not billionaires. All right, they're billionaires. Right, I forgot. Politicians are always on the side of capitalism. Anyways, so this is a pretty good summary of the situation of conventions in a nutshell for this year. There are a lot of conventions coming up that could be in a really, really bad situation because things are opening back up. Look at fucking Texas, whose governor decided, hey, by April, or the end of April, whenever he said, way before we should be, we're opening Texas back up fully. 100%, no masks, no other mandates, we're opening up. Is there an article on this? I want to see. Abbott says it's time for Texas to fully reopen. Oh boy. Is this the guy that's doing it? Is this him? Really? Effective Wednesday, March 10th, all businesses of any type may open to 100% capacity. Wait, so nope, not in April, a week from now. In a week from now, today, Texas is opening up fully. Dude, the fucking rest of the world is laughing at us. And our fucking, like, they were laughing at us before. In the GOP, in Texas, in Florida, in these other states are just like, yeah. Oh, I know the rest of the world is laughing at us, but let's open back up. Look, here's the thing. I don't live in Texas, but, like, I'm so sorry you guys live where you guys are. I'm genuinely so sorry. So it's thanks to situations like this, and thanks to government officials that just don't care about us or anyone else, it's thanks to these situations that conventions might actually die. I know, obviously, like, correlation is equal to causation, but actions such as that aren't helping these situations. So at the very least, I know people don't like hearing about, like, the COVID and, you know, even political stuff, but, like, COVID's still an issue. It's still going to be an issue, but, try to remain optimistic. I think it's just important that everyone should be aware of what's going on in the best way possible, and that's why I'm uploading this to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. What's up? Can we get some hi YouTubes in chat? But seriously, everyone should be informed about this, at least with the future of furry conventions, because furry conventions are kind of like the whole thing of, like, hi, you know, this is the furry fandom. Also, hi, YouTube. We're all gonna die, YouTube. That's optimistic. I like that way of thinking. But seriously, just keep informed at least on this matter. If situations come up in the future where we're able to help a convention from dying, like similar to like Fernal Equinox, where we took donations to support the con for next year, where we can like roll over our attendance, but in this case our attendance wouldn't be rolled over, where we can just still spend like what, the $30, $40, $50. If we can do that, we can technically still save the convention, yet it wouldn't happen. It's weird to think about it that way, but there's a chance stuff like this can happen, because Fernal Equinox, when that happened and then the rest of the cons proceeded, it was like, oh shit. So like, if there are ways to support conventions from still happening for the next year, or solidifying that the con goers don't die or get infected, but we can still support the con and keep it from dying, I think that's important to do. So if opportunity like that comes up in the future, just feel free to jump on it. I'm definitely jumping on it when the time comes, because I know it will happen. If not, conventions will happen, and oh god bless my soul and everyone else out there. But seriously, there are going to be some opportunities in the future, I can guarantee, to support your local conventions, or any convention you enjoy. So keep a note of that. I'll probably be updating the description of like my videos or future videos, or even I might do a stream thing in the future. So there is that. So just keep that in mind, because I sure as hell don't want these conventions to die. I'm willing to wait, you know, I'm willing to wait for things to be safe, for things to be okay. So there is that. But yeah, here's my face, if it makes you feel better.